What is up, my friends? Welcome to Flippin' Bats, where Game 4 has just wrapped up here at Dodger Stadium. I am live down on the field about 5 minutes after the game ends, and the Toronto Blue Jays have taken Game 4, and that's where we need to start. That's what we need to talk about. This Toronto Blue Jays team continues to be considered a massive underdog against this Los Angeles Dodgers team. And I don't quite get it. And if anyone's listening or anyone watching right now thinks this is just a matter of time until the Dodgers win this series, they just might. But this Blue Jays team is legit. They've been doing this for 4 months at this point. They're not afraid to get punched in the mouth and punch you right back. And that's what we saw here tonight. A 4-run 7th inning late in the game, put up a bunch of runs. Ernie Clement, a huge double off the wall. Ernie Clement with that huge double. Andres Jimenez with a huge RBI knock as well. Dodgers end up losing this game. Blue Jays win it 6-2. That 7th inning was the difference. Look, Shohei Ohtani started this game on the mound after that Game 3, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But 18-inning marathon in Game 2, and then he has to turn around, flip around, and start this game on the mound. And honestly, he was good. You might look at his final line and say, okay, Shohei wasn't great. I thought Shohei was really good. He dominated. He gave up a run early. He gave up a couple runs in the top of the 3rd inning. It was that Vladdy Jr. home run. Vladdy Jr. right now continues to be the second hottest hitter on the planet besides Shohei Ohtani, who just doesn't get pitched to right now. Vladdy Jr. down 1-0. Huge 2-run homer. When everyone thought the series was over after last night. Dodgers win, first game at home, 18-inning marathon. Dodgers win it. They might end it here in LA. Well, look, again, we're going to get to game 3 in a second, but that's just not the case. Nor do I feel like this Blue Jays team should be a massive underdog. I get that the Dodgers are the Dodgers. They're the defending champs for a reason. They have the greatest player of all time. But right now, with what Vladdy Jr. is doing, what this Toronto Blue Jays pitching staff is doing, they should not continue to be an underdog in this series. They score. They have Vladdy Jr. homer to take the lead, and then they pile on in the 7th, and that was basically ball game from there. Toronto Blue Jays win Game 4, which guarantees that this series shifts back to Toronto, a place that I have fallen in love with, and we're going back there. And I'm going to have poutine for the first time when I get back to Toronto. I guarantee it. I promise. No matter what, no matter where I get it, I've been told the best place to get it is Bon 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 or Bomb 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 or something like that. I'm getting poutine when I go back to Toronto. That's a fact. But this series is for sure shifting back now to Toronto. We're here after 4 games, tied 2-2, and I can't say this enough. The Toronto Blue Jays continue to be undervalued by the public eye, and the thought is just it's a certainty the Dodgers are going to win. It's just a matter of time. Now that is where I want to shift back to Game 3, because that is what it felt like when we got into extra innings, and that was because of a lot of managerial decisions that were made, and it was just a matter of time. But let's talk about Game 3. Game 3 was awesome. Tyler Glasnow starts on the mound. The first 7-8 innings of that game were one of the best World Series games I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of World Series games. I feel very grateful to do that. One of the best World Series games I've ever seen. Back and forth, and Shohei homers early. Then the Dodgers are down late, and Shohei homers again to tie the game. Shohei homered twice, got on base 9 times, which is an all-time postseason record. Shohei Ohtani got on base 9 times. 4 intentional walks, 1 unintentional but intentional walk. And it just ended up being an awesome game. And you really saw it shift there. You, in that moment, saw the Toronto Blue Jays realize this is the greatest player we have ever seen. I've never managed against a player like this. We do not want to let him hurt us. And I thought early in the game, when they went to tie it up, that Seranthony Dominguez comes in the game, gets the first out. Pitching coach comes out to talk to Seranthony Dominguez with Shohei Ohtani coming up. And then the first pitch he throws could not be more middle. And my thought at the time was, what exactly did the pitching coach come out and say? This guy can't beat you. Did he come out and say, let's try and sneak a first pitch fastball by him? He's never gonna be expecting that. I can't fathom what that message was. Anyway, first pitch, heater, down the middle. Shohei Ohtani hits an absolute tank to tie the game. From there, we're sitting at 5-5, and this game goes 18 innings. Tied for the longest World Series game in Major League Baseball history. 18 innings. By the way, fun fact, Brad Paisley sung the national anthem yesterday. He's sung the anthem at the World Series 4 times. Every single game that he's sung the anthem at goes extra innings. He also sung the national anthem in 2018, Game 3 of the World Series, when that went 18 innings. Fascinating. But this game just continued to go and go and go, and that's where we got the awesome storylines. Clayton Kershaw came in the game. Kershaw comes in to get 1 out in extra innings, bases loaded, massive moment in this game, and you have the legend Clayton Kershaw coming in to get that out, and he did. Got out of the inning. Max Scherzer started the game for the Toronto Blue Jays. Why is that interesting? Well, 16 years ago, Arizona Diamondbacks against the Los Angeles Dodgers. This scheduled starting matchup that day was Greg Maddux for the Dodgers against Randy Johnson for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Well, both of those guys ended up being scratched from the game and did not start. So in come 2 rookie pitchers to start that game. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, Max Scherzer. And now here we are 16 years later, both of those guys going into the Hall of Fame whenever they decide to hang it up. Clayton Kershaw's hanging it up after this year. Max Scherzer, who knows when he's hanging it up. But 16 years later, in World Series Game 3, Max Scherzer starts the game, certified Hall of Famer, and Clayton Kershaw, certified Hall of Famer, comes in late to be in that game. And we have both of those guys pitching in the game. Kershaw gets out of it, Scherzer with a good start. Onwards we go in extra innings. That game ended up being awesome. Yamamoto ended up warming up. We need to talk about that for a second. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is, at the time of yesterday, 2 days removed from completing a complete game, second complete game in a row, 2 consecutive complete games for the first time since 2001, first World Series complete game since 2015 when Johnny Cueto did it, another complete game, and then 2 days later, right over here, right over my right shoulder, Yamamoto runs down to the bullpen and is about to enter the game in relief in an 18-inning marathon. And to me, that says a lot. Shohei Ohtani's a unicorn. He's the greatest player of all time. For Yamamoto to, coming off of that, go down and get ready to compete in that game and want to come in and go up to Dave Roberts in the dugout and say, let me in this game. Unicorn. There's 2 unicorns on this Dodgers team, both of them from Japan. Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto didn't end up coming into the game. Freddie Freeman hits that walk-off home run, tied for the longest game in World Series history. Absolutely incredible game. I was here the entire time. Just awesome. I can't speak highly enough of that game. It went on forever. And the moment when Freddie hit that walk-off and Shohei celebrates at home plate with Freddie Freeman, and then him and Roki Sasaki take off down the mound and head literally about right here, I would actually say, is the exact spot where Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki and their interpreters all met up and had that hug and shared that moment here down the line after that game. This is a series. Game 4 goes to the Blue Jays. Game 3 goes to the Dodgers. Game 2 goes to the Dodgers. Game 1 goes to the Blue Jays. And now we're sitting here, and we know we're going back to Toronto. We know we have an incredible series. Shohei Ohtani in Game 3 followed up what maybe is the greatest game of all time in Game 4 of the NLCS with, in Game 3, what might be the second greatest game of all time. Let's talk about the Shohei Ohtani game part 2 for a second. This guy homers, doubles, homers again to tie the game, then gets 4 consecutive intentional walks, and then gets walked again unintentionally but intentionally later in the game. He reached base 9 times, shattering the all-time postseason record. And I happened to be in a suite with the guy that previously held the record, and Kenny Lofton, and I turned around and said, "Hey, Kenny, you know Shohei Ohtani just broke the all-time postseason record for getting on base in a single game. You know whose record he broke?" And he goes, "No." "Who?" "Barry? Barry Bonds was his guess." "Barry?" I said, "No, it was you." And he goes, "What? No." And then he screams out from the suite over there, "Shohei, you broke my record." And just a really cool moment. And now to see him back on the mound today and to start in this game, I'm at a loss for words. This is the greatest player we've ever seen. For him to start on the mound, throw a really good game. Gave up that homer early to Vlad, but then settled in and was pretty nasty from there. He ends up getting in some trouble there in the 7th inning. He comes back out for the 7th, gets in trouble. Bullpen comes in, gives up a couple runs. So he ends up, his line might not look fantastic, but for him to have the game he did, the second greatest game of all time in Game 3 of the World Series, and then come out and perform the way he did today. He didn't end up getting a hit, but he started on the mound. He was nasty on the mound. But in the end, Vladdy Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays were just too good today. They piled on, and they win this game. And that's why I want to go back to talking about this Blue Jays team that continues to be undervalued. I felt it in Toronto. Let me explain that this team has been doing this for 4 months. This is not some underdog. This team that has Vladdy Jr., Bo Bichette, who was hitting lasers today. George Springer was apparently hour to hour leading up to the game, but did not start. But this team continues to be undervalued in the public eye. They can rake, and they are the perfect opponent against the Los Angeles Dodgers in the postseason because they're the team that can put some pitches in you, get you in trouble, and get you out of the game. And that's what we saw here today. Last night, in that 18-inning marathon, I thought the big difference was managerially, how that was the big difference. Look, Dave Roberts has been here. In 2018, the 18-inning marathon with the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees, Dave Roberts was a part of that. Now here we are in 2025, and I just felt a big difference was the way that game was managed. And look, in a normal, I get it. You pinch run for Alejandro Kirk. You take out Bo Bichette because he's injured. George Springer gets injured. You pinch hit late in the game for a bunch of guys. And the Dodgers just didn't do that. They kept a lot of their guys in, so it just felt like in Game 3, we were waiting for the Los Angeles Dodgers to win it. The Blue Jays weren't getting hits. They were done. That lineup had hole after hole after hole after, oh my God, here's Vladdy Jr. Then there's a hole, and then here's Ernie Clement. And then they just kept going up with a bunch of guys that are not their usual studs. And they all came out of the game. And the one thing I kept sleeping on last night, I got home, it was 1 a.m. I live out here in Los Angeles, so we had that. I'm getting to stay at home here. I get home at 1 a.m., and I just kept thinking about Alejandro Kirk getting pinch run for. Alejandro Kirk, if this series ends right now, well, Vladdy homered tonight. But Alejandro Kirk last night, if this series goes the Blue Jays' way, he's the World Series MVP. He's your guy. And I get he's the slowest guy in baseball. Literally the slowest guy in baseball. I get that. But he's your guy. He's your MVP of your team to this point in the World Series. He's a guy behind the plate. He throws out Shohei Ohtani. I could not get past pinch running for him on first base. Look, if Miles Straw gets that bunt down and Kirk gets to second, or if Kirk doubles, I get it if he's on second. I really struggle with the fact that you take Alejandro Kirk out early on in the game. Well, it was 18 innings. Early on at that point in the game, and then you lose him. And then all of a sudden, everybody's out of your lineup. Bo Bichette taken out. George Springer removed from the game due to injury. Alejandro Kirk, pinch run for. Later in the lineup, you had a bunch of guys. Barger was out of the lineup. I just thought that game was played to win it in the moment, and it's tough to argue that. But this game ended up being a marathon, and I get Barger. I get, obviously, Springer. I get Bo Bichette. He's not used to being on his legs this long right now. I get all of it. Alejandro Kirk coming out via a pinch runner when he was on first base just was tough for me. So at that point, when we got to the 12th, 13th, 14th, and on, it just felt like we were waiting for the Los Angeles Dodgers to win it. Ball after ball to the warning track, and finally Freddie steps up and wins that game for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani, another incredible game. Freddie doing what Freddie does, another walk-off in a World Series. And then you kind of reset for Game 4. You reset that lineup, you get your studs back in, and you see what can happen. It was not game over. It was not series over after Game 3. Everyone thinks it is. I cannot speak highly enough about this Toronto Blue Jays lineup, about what Shane Bieber did here tonight, who was also about to warm up and go in the game last night. I can't speak highly enough. So now, here we sit. Vladdy Jr. has the second most hits all time in a postseason run, behind Randy Arozarena in 2020. In a 15-game stretch that he's been on, he has more hits than anyone. I have no doubts that he could possibly pass Randy Arozarena now that this series is guaranteed to go at least 6 games. Vladdy Jr. is an absolute stud. He put the team on his back against one of the most dominant and nasty pitchers in baseball. I'm not going to say right now that Shohei is the best pitcher in baseball. That goes to Tarek Skubal, that goes to Paul Skeens. And there's some other guys, obviously. But when it comes to pure nastiness, Shohei Ohtani is up there. And with your backs against the wall, down 2-1 in the World Series, for Vladdy Jr., down 1-0 in the game, for Vladdy Jr. to come up and hit that homer, a no-doubter over here at left center field, I think shows you just how good he is. I hope the world is realizing just how good Vladdy Jr. is, and I hope the world is realizing just how good this Toronto Blue Jays team is. They're legit. This team is legit. Obviously, we know the Dodgers are legit, but back to the narrative of this series. The Dodgers are trying to become the first team to go back-to-back in Major League Baseball since the New York Yankees in 2000. And the Toronto Blue Jays are trying to win their first World Series since 1993. This series is awesome. I love being here. I love this stadium. You know what? I got a new appreciation for this stadium today. I was sitting in the reserve level behind home plate. The sun was setting. The mountains looked beautiful in the background, and I thought, you know what? I get it. It might be a nightmare to get here. It might be a nightmare to park. It might be a nightmare to get through LA traffic, but once you're here, this place is awesome. And this series is awesome. I'm so pumped up about this. Last night, by the way, before we finish up here, got to talk about that play last night. Bo Bichette on first base, Dalton Varsho at the plate. I thought it changed everything. I know they ended up taking out everybody, and I can be critical of the lineup changes that were made, but early in the game, the Toronto Blue Jays had a runner on first, nobody out, in a 3-1 count, Dalton Varsho at the plate. That pitch comes in, it's clearly a ball, about 6 inches above the strike zone. Called a strike, ends up changing everything because Dalton Varsho starts walking out of the box thinking that it's a ball. Doesn't know what happened, stopped for a second. Umpire's not doing anything any longer. He had already done his delayed call. He starts walking to first base. Bo Bichette starts going to second base. And the reason I want to mention this is because a lot of people are talking about Bo Bichette as the base runner. Bo Bichette did something wrong. I've seen it everywhere. And maybe I'm in the minority here, but I have to talk about it for a second because I totally disagree. I played professional baseball for 5 years. Been on first base a million times. Back in the dugout more times than not, but been on first base a million times. Okay? Batter at the plate ends up walked. I, as well as what Bo Bichette did, do not just start going when I think a ball was thrown. I stay, I take a step back, and I wait to guarantee the umpire has called it a ball, and I wait for the batter to take that first step to first base. Dalton Varsho thought it was a ball, was a ball. Ends up being called a strike. He turns around, umpire's already made his call. He thinks, no way that was called a strike. I couldn't hear it. Goes to walk to first base. The second he takes that step to first, Bo Bichette then says, okay, I'm good to go. This is not a Bo Bichette mistake. It's not you were too far off the base. No, it was, I'm going to guarantee this is a ball. I'm going to wait to see what Dalton Varsho does. Okay, he is coming. It is a ball. I'm going to start walking to first base. The second he starts taking off, Bo Bichette then thinks, okay, it's a walk and I'm going to take off. They end up picking him off. I can't say this enough. I know I'm going back in time. Bo Bichette didn't make a mistake there. I get it. To me, the umpire was at fault there. It was a terrible call, 1. It was a delayed call, 2. And the Dodgers took advantage of that, did what they needed to do, and got the out. Anyway, game goes 18 innings. Ball game over. Dodgers win. Freddie Freeman walk-off. Game 4, everyone thinks, oh man, this series isn't going back to Toronto. Well, let me tell you, this series is going back to Toronto. I'm heading back to Toronto. I'm getting poutine. I already went up into the CN Tower, so I ain't doing that again. It's expensive. It's like $60 to get up there. You want your picture? You want your photo? That's gonna be another $50. I ain't going back up there, but I'm glad I did it. I'm getting poutine. I'm getting another Caesar, and this series is heading back to Toronto. So, what a game. What a series this is. This is awesome. This is 2 juggernaut teams going at it. And I can't state that enough. The Toronto Blue Jays are a legitimate team. And they are the perfect team to head up against the Dodgers with the way this team fights, battles, offensively battles, and is able to put up runs and able to put pitches in the starter and get them out early in the game than later. But we're heading back to Toronto. We got another Game 5 here in about, 20 hours or so. I am not exactly sure who the starting pitchers are going to be. I don't know if it has been announced. We'll see. I've been watching this game. I don't know if it's been announced. Maybe Dave Roberts and John Schneider have been talking about it since this game has ended. But I came right out on the field to talk to you, to record this episode. So I appreciate every single one of you that watches and listens. If you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, like the video. That all really does help. If you're watching, listening, Apple, Spotify, wherever, please check us out on YouTube. Flippin' Bats Pod is our YouTube channel. That really means a lot, and I love hopping in the comments and talking to you guys after games and getting back in there and continuing the conversation of this episode. But I can't stress it enough. This is a legitimate series. Dodgers are a juggernaut, Blue Jays are a juggernaut, and now we're sitting here at 2-2. Thank you all. We will be back live soon. I'm going to try and catch up with John Smoltz at some point in this series. It's chaos. It's hectic around here, but we're going to try. But we will have more episodes throughout this series. I don't know if there will be one tomorrow after the game as well, now that this is heading back to Toronto. We will see. We'll see if my guy Campbell behind the camera is available tomorrow. If he's not, we might not do an episode. Who knows what is going to happen? But I know I appreciate you all for watching and listening. As always, this has been another episode of Flippin' Bats. Game 4 of the World Series is in the books. And here we sit. Dodgers 2, Blue Jays 2. Game 5 here tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. And we are for sure heading back to Toronto for at least a Game 6. Appreciate you all. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to your podcast. But please check us out on our YouTube channel and social media everywhere. At Ben Verlander on all socials. At Flippin' Bats on all socials as well. Appreciate you all. Until next time, my friends, remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace.